Good morning, everybody. Welcome to yet another edition of Daily Current Affairs with Sathya sir. This is me, Sathya, from IQ Ideas, and I bring you important headlines, news articles, and other things from the daily newspaper. I also look at articles which are interesting to read to improve English language and vocabulary. So, without further ado, let's jump into today's news, where the front page has the biggest news, which, if you have been following it religiously, would be no big surprise. That is India's time in space. After Rakesh Sharma's voyage, 41 years after Rakesh Sharma from India went to space, now Shubhanshu Shukla has become the second Indian to get into space. Right? So Shubhanshu Shukla in space. Rakesh Sharma was the first Indian who achieved this task. And now, finally, Axiom 4, which is headed for the International Space Station, took off from Cape Canaveral. And four of the astronauts aboard the Axiom 4 on the Falcon 9 rocket took off. The takeoff was from the Kennedy Space Center. So this is the Axiom 4, which was aboard the Falcon 9 rocket, and the destination is the International Space Station. A total of 4 astronauts took off on Wednesday, 12:01 p.m. Indian Standard Time from the Kennedy Space Center in Florida. So the 4 astronauts included the Indian pilot Shubhanshu Shukla. The commander of the mission is US astronaut Peggy Whitson. Other than that, you have a mission specialist from Hungary, Tibor Kapu, and a mission specialist from Poland, Slavoj Uznanski. Pardon my pronunciation, but that's what it is. So we have Shubhanshu Shukla in space aboard the Axiom 4 Falcon 9 with destination International Space Station, pilot Shubhanshu Shukla and commander Peggy Whitson. At 12:01, it took off from the Kennedy Space Center in Florida. And there was a live coverage on YouTube. The live feed was available for interested viewers, which was also extensively covered by various Indian channels. And once he went there, the telecommunication which happened, Shubhanshu Shukla's famous words where he said, "Namaskar, mere pyare deshwasiyo. What a ride. We are orbiting Earth at a velocity of 7.5 kilometers per second." Right? He also mentioned that a tricolor on his shoulder tells him that he's not alone, he's with all of you, which is Indians. And just an interesting bit of trivia. When all the members who are to be aboard any space mission are taken to the final vehicle, they are allowed to listen to some song to calm their nerves. And the song selected by Shubhanshu Shukla was Yuni Chala Chal Rahi from the Shah Rukh Khan starrer Swades. Very interesting. Okay. So a lot of this coverage would be in today's newspaper. I would very strongly urge you to keep reading up on all of that. Other than that, on the top, we have the Prime Minister's speech where he mentioned that Congress put democracy under arrest 50 years ago. So reference to the emergency which was declared in India 50 years back, and the 50th anniversary of this dark day was observed. And it was marked as the Samvidhan Hatya Divas, a very typical name, Samvidhan Hatya Divas, which basically is the day the constitution was killed, and a lot of sound bites by various people. Now, other than that, on the main page, there is very interesting news for school students, where the CBSE, the Central Board for Secondary Education, has announced that class 10th boards will be held twice a year. So CBSE announces that class 10 board exams to be held twice a year, which means the first attempt will be in February, which is compulsory for all the students. And the second attempt will be in May, which can be opted for by students who wish to improve their scores. And the best of the two scores will be retained for the final result. And students will be allowed to improve performance in up to 3 main subjects. So for school students, especially those who are about to appear in their class 10 examinations in 2026, this is going to be very, very relevant. So I would very strongly recommend, especially school students, to follow up on this news. So interesting things on the first page. Let's move on to the next one, which is the city news, where there is update on the DNA match, which is awaited for the final passenger of AI 171, the ill-fated Boeing airline, which crashed on the 12th of June. 240 out of the 241 passengers, including crew members, have been successfully identified through the DNA matching, and it's only one DNA match which is still awaited. Sad news. Other than that, the major news, at least for Ahmedabad, is the heavy rains which hit eastern Ahmedabad yesterday in the evening. Not very relevant to update yourself with. The next city page has a lot of crime-related news, which I will not be going through. But there is one interesting article on the third page where the headline reads, "Private universities can be considered public authority for RTI Act." So the Gujarat Information Commission, GIC, has provided crucial clarification on the applicability of the RTI Act to private universities. It says that private universities established under Gujarat Private Universities Act 2009 can be considered public authorities for the purpose of the RTI Act, as they fall within the scope of Section 2H, which is very interesting because the RTI Act says a public authority includes any body constituted by or under the Constitution by any law made by the Parliament or state legislature, or by notification issued by the appropriate government, or anybody substantially financed directly or indirectly by funds provided by the government. So law aspirants, I would definitely strongly recommend that you read up on what is meant by RTI, the Right to Information Act. And till now, whenever you want any particular information, subject to, of course, all the conditions in the law, you can follow a process to get that information, and technically it's your right. And this clarification by the Gujarat Information Commission that even private universities can be considered public authority is going to be very, very relevant as an update for information. Okay. The next city page again has just interest news about new sarpanches in villages, increase in education funding, so on and so forth. In the state page, information regarding the poor infrastructure at Surat. Sky is clear, but Surat swamped by overflowing creeks, and a lot of other crime news. Skip. In the nation page, family wakes up to surprise visitor in bedroom, tiger. Oh, that just seems to be a human interest news. I wouldn't read it much. But the arrest of Akali Neta Majithia, not relevant. Himachal flash floods, not. Two or three interesting news. I won't call them too relevant, but interesting. One is, in a first in 12 years, she may skip BRICS summit in Brazil. So from this, the only piece of information that I would be following up on is what is meant by BRICS, the organization for Brazil, Russia, India, China, and South Africa. So read up on what is BRICS, and it says that Chinese President Xi Jinping plans to skip the BRICS summit in Brazil next month. Okay, that's interesting. The second news is Taliban attack claims life of Pakistan major who nabbed Abhinandan. So if you have been following news, you would definitely know that Indian Air Force pilot Abhinandan was who ejected and landed on the enemy soil after his jet was hit during aerial combat with Pakistan, was held captive for 3 days in 2019. So the Pakistan major who supposedly nabbed Abhinandan, along with other dozen other security personnel, were killed in separate ambush attacks by the Tehreek-e-Taliban Pakistan fighters in the region. Okay, and the third news was a small statistics, but it says why Trump hasn't been good for the dollar. Okay, it says since US President Donald Trump took office, the US dollar has dropped more than 10% against major currencies, hitting a 3-year low. Combination of tariffs, tax cuts, and political pressure on the Fed is shaking investor confidence in the global reserve currency market. And there's an interesting chart which tells you US dollar versus other major currencies from Jan to June 2025. So based on this graph, definitely I can think of creating a data interpretation set. Okay. So the only relevant news is what is BRICS and who are the member organizations and so on. The next nation page doesn't seem to have any relevant news for long-term memory. The nation page next, again, no. The next nation page. Okay, so here is a detailed information on CBSE having 2 class 10th board examinations a year. So let me just put that up on the screen. CBSE to have 2 class 10th board exams a year. This structure is that the first board exam will be in class 10th in mid-February alongside the 12th board exams. The second board examination along with the compartment exams for class 10th students will be in May. The first board exam is mandatory. The second board exam, all passed or eligible candidates can seek to improve their scores up to 3 subjects. In case the candidate has not appeared in 3 or more subjects in the first board exam, then he or she will not be allowed in the second exam. And they will be categorized as essential repeat and take the exam next year in the main exam. Winter-bound schools candidates may choose to appear either in first or second. So this is for regions like Ladakh, parts of Arunachal Pradesh and Himachal. So because winter is there in February and the conditions are not very conducive for students to be able to go and give exams. So for them, the Feb exam may not be compulsory. Then it says sports candidates will be allowed to appear in second exam in the subjects whose exams coincided with sports events during the first exam. Great. Internal assessment will be conducted only once before the main exam. So internal assessment is not twice. Internal assessment is only once. Both exams will be on the full syllabus and the scheme of study and exams will be the same. The first exam result will be in April and the result of the second will be in June. And if the student has appeared for both, then obviously best of 2 will be retained. All the information about the performance will be available in DigiLocker. Passing document will be issued to all candidates after the second exam and even the merit certificate after the second exam. Great. So quite some detailed information on this, which I will suggest that school students and even teachers can actually read up on that to understand what exactly it is all about. Okay. The next nation page. There's just some major medical thingy which may not be too interesting. Okay, the next nation page now it's devoted to Shivanshu Shukla in space, right? Let's just go through the headlines. One is AX4, that is the axiom 4 epitomizes a shifting era when access to space is expanding via private and international tie-ups. So what is the epitome of something? Something which is a prime example of something. There's another, what a ride, Namaskar Pyare Deshwasiyo, says Shukla in his first reaction from space. So the reaction of Captain Shivanshu Shukla has been given when he addressed the country in Hindi from space. Then there is update on how the Dragon capsule Grace will put Shukla and the company inside the International Space Station. There's an infographic about the mission Axiom 4, where the launch day is June 25th. The launch site is Kennedy Space Center in Florida, US. The rocket was SpaceX Falcon 9. The spacecraft was Grace Crew Dragon. And then the entire timeline is given. It also contains 60 plus experiments from 31 countries, out of which 7 are from India. A lot of information about this great son of India and all the 4 mission specialists. So Peggy Whitson, 65, is the mission commander. Shubhanshu Shukla, 39, the mission pilot. Slavoj Uznansky Wisniewski is 41 and the mission specialist, and Tibor Kapu, 34, is the mission specialist from Hungary. Slavoj is, of course, from Poland, and Peggy Whitson from the US. Great. The entire page is devoted to this one particular event. So you can understand how great a mission it is, especially for Indians. In fact, in the next page, my favorite middle page, you have the center article is "An Indians back in space, India ready to follow." Rakesh Sharma's 1984 spaceflight with Soviets did not lead to a manned space program, but this time Gaganyaan is in the work and Shukla's learnings will come in handy. So this is by Chetan Kumar, this article, and it gives a lot of information on why this is relevant. So 100% you should read upon that. The left 3 columns, first is rolling in rains, monsoon is hardly the time for successful rationalization of Bihar's voter list. I would just read that, nothing great except for language. Shake and Shakes, second column, Gulf Arab states are caught in a policy political dilemma that Iran-Israel war laid bare. Okay. And of course, the third bottom is Bachi Karkaria's Erotica column, which is going to be a very interesting read because Bachi Karkaria, famous for her humor. This is about we are the world and like that only everywhere. Okay. So for humor, I would definitely recommend Bachi Karkaria's columns. But what is the main opinion piece? Mamdani and the City. That a Muslim South Asian may be the next mayor of New York is a story of American identity getting seriously impacted by immigrant demographics. But it's as much about class as race. A combative lefty is taking on privilege in a town most wealthy New Yorkers don't call home anymore. Okay, so this is by Arnab Ray, a columnist based on Los Angeles. This is going to be pretty interesting because nowadays there's a lot of news about how locals are not often in politics and often immigrants are occupying big positions in the UK, the US, and so on. So this opinion piece, although I have a very strong feeling could be biased, would make an interesting read. So read it with an open mind. Okay. The next page, the special page, reliving prison nights during emergency days. Okay, so yesterday we had the anniversary of the 50 years of imposition of emergency in India. So by Avjit Ghosh, there is an entire article. So I would I would recommend that you read this along with the insert film censorship during emergency movies, which got censored with special focus on the movies Andhi and Andolan. Okay, so a little bit of history, half a century ago, but please do read that. The next nation page does not have too many things about the centerfold, but below the fold, 2 things. One is gender equality in Indian workplaces remains uneven. Okay, so I would definitely read that up to understand some demographic related issues. And second, India's climate choices will influence global trajectories. Okay, so both the news are social impact related, related to CSR and ESG. So definitely read these 2 articles. In the business page, nothing major other than updates. One is just after Jumbo cut, RBI asks banks to lower rates. Okay. On the global page, yet again, updates related to the Israel-Iran conflict, opinions on that. Okay. Meera Nair's son, leftist Muslim, is now said to be NYSC's BF. Oh, wow. This I did not know. So the news, not the news, but the opinion article that I read on the middle page regarding how Zohran Mamdani was had declared his candidacy as mayor and is now all said to be New York City's mayor. He is the son of Meera Nair, and Meera Nair is definitely a celebrity related to films. So I would very strongly read up on this. Okay. The sports page related to cricket. India heartbreaking defeat in the first test. Okay. Sad news for cricket aficionados, especially fans of the Indian cricket team. So you can just read on that. And the last page also nothing major. So these were some of the major news updates from today's news, right? If we take a look at things, then the major things were basically all of them were related to Shubhanshu Shukla being the second Indian after Rakesh Sharma to be in space. Then 50th anniversary of the emergency declaration in India, observed as Samvidhan Hatya Divas, and minor but major for school students, that is class 10 board examinations to be held twice a year. So those are the major news updates for today. Read the newspaper, a lot of interesting opinion pieces, a lot of interesting GK related information that you can pick up. If you have liked this video, do hit that like button, share it with your friends, subscribe to the channel if you haven't already done so. Leave your comments if you want anything else to be done. With that, this is me, Sathya, signing off for today. Wish you all the best. Have a good day.